The night had just begun to drizzle when Jungkook's black sedan rolled through the iron gates of the Jeon family mansion. The garden lights shimmered on the wet stones, and the scent of rain-soaked earth slipped through the slightly lowered window. He turned off the engine, reached for his coat from the back seat, and exhaled deeply, the kind of sigh that comes after a long day filled with meetings, quarterly strategy presentations, and calming down board members who always wanted results yesterday. "Good evening, young master," the head butler greeted while opening the car door. "Your father is waiting for you in the study." Jungkook gave a short nod. Something in the butler's tone, cautious, almost careful, made his steps unconsciously slow down. At the end of the long corridor, before the mahogany door, he stopped and straightened his tie that had felt too tight all evening. The study was warm, glowing under soft amber light. Shelves lined the walls, the faint scent of old leather mixed with the earthy note of half-cold ginseng tea. His father sat behind the desk, staring at a framed family photo, the three of them, father, mother, and little Jungkook, standing by the sea, wind tugging at their hair. "You're finally home," his father said quietly. His voice was calm, but carried a weary undertone. A small smile touched his lips, his eyes looked older, and his fingers trembled slightly as he set the frame down. "Is something wrong, Dad?" Jungkook asked, taking the guest seat. It wasn't that he meant to avoid coming home often. It's just that his penthouse was much closer to the company headquarters, which made work easier. His father didn't reply right away. He took a sip of tea, carefully placing the cup back down as if counting his own heartbeat. "I want to talk about something big," he said at last. "You're going to be arranged for marriage." Jungkook's head lifted. "With who?" "Yin." Silence dropped like a heavy blanket. Instantly, his college years flashed before him. Those business strategy classes where they sat on opposite sides, the heated presentations where Yin always argued fearlessly, the late nights in the library racing for the top score. Not enemies, not friends, something in between, never warm, never simple. "Dad, you know our reputation back in college," Jungkook said quietly. "We didn't exactly get along." "I know," his father replied. "That's exactly why she's right for this family." "I'm sorry, what?" "This company wasn't built by people who always agreed." His father leaned forward, eyes sharp but kind. "You need someone who can look you in the eye and say, 'You're wrong,' when you actually are. Yin's family is old friends of ours. Your mom used to joke that you two would be the noisiest business partners in the world." He chuckled softly, but the smile soon faded. "Now you're both in the same position. Yin is leading her family's insurance and investment company. She's smart, decisive, and she understands risk better than most people ever will." Jungkook swallowed hard. Bitterness pricked behind his throat at the mention of his mother. She died when he was still in high school. One midnight call, one short sentence, car accident, and his world changed forever. Since then, it had only been him and his father, walking through storms together, refusing to fall. He had silently promised at her grave that he'd make his father proud. "Dad, we have too much bad history," he said softly. "I don't want a marriage built on the leftovers of a rivalry." "Marriage is built on choice," his father replied, holding his gaze. "And this choice happens to unite two families that have supported each other for decades. I'm not forcing you, Jungkook. His voice cracked. He drew a sharp breath and pressed a hand briefly to his chest, a small, telling gesture. "I just want to see you with someone who won't let you run alone. Your mom." He paused, then corrected himself. "I would be at peace knowing you're not carrying everything by yourself." On the desk, Jungkook noticed the neatly arranged bottles of medicine. He knew his father's heart had been acting up lately, so he'd gone with him to the doctor, listened to words about irregular beats and resting more. And now, that look in his father's eyes, hopeful yet fragile, made every refusal feel selfish. Jungkook stood. "All right," he said quietly. "I'll talk to Yin. If she agrees, then I'll agree." Relief washed through his father's features like warm light. "Thank you," he whispered, eyes soft with affection. "You're the reason I keep going." Across the city, the Yin family home glowed bright. Yin had just returned, her heels clicking against the floor. Her blouse was still crisp, though her scarf had loosened. She was ready to go upstairs, take a hot shower, and finish one last email, but her parents were waiting at the dining table. "Welcome home, sweetheart," her mother greeted, smiling warmly. Her father gave a small nod, gesturing for her to sit. Yin could tell right away this wasn't an ordinary dinner. The air carried that unspoken "we need to talk" tension. "We want to discuss an arranged marriage," her father said without circling around it. "With Jungkook." Yin's chopsticks froze mid-air. Jeon Jungkook, her eyebrows shot up. The one from college? The arrogant, cold, and distant. Her mother finished for her, still smiling. It's normal for someone to seem cold when they're focused. And as for arrogance, well, you've got high standards too, don't you? You're both smart, accomplished, and know what you want. That's not a bad thing. Yin leaned back, eyeing her mother. Mom, you prefer cold guys? As a woman, her mother replied gently, I feel safer with a man who's cold, because usually, that warmth is reserved only for his wife and family. A man who's warm to everyone, that's less reassuring. I'd rather have your dad, who, honestly, barely smiles at any other woman. She turned toward her husband, chuckling, that's a compliment, honey. Yin's father shrugged stiffly, though his expression softened. You know how I am. And you also know the Jian family, my longtime friends. They don't play around when it comes to commitment. Yin twirled her chopsticks slowly, her gaze sharp. But Dad, Jungkook and I aren't you and Mom. Back in college, we clashed constantly. He's stubborn. So are you. Her father shot back flatly, which is exactly why you balance each other. You're leading our company now, and you talk about risk management every day. Marriage isn't about eliminating risk. It's about managing it. And one more thing. He paused, waiting until Yin's eyes met his. Jungkook already said yes. The words hit her somewhere she didn't expect. He agreed? Her voice softened. Yes. Her mother nodded, her expression gentle. And we don't want you to feel pressured. If you want to say no, just say it. We'll respect that. Yin fell silent. Part of her wanted to cling to old memories, the cold-eyed man with a sharp jaw and a posture that refused to bend. But another part, the more rational, business-minded part, remembered the board meeting that morning. How she'd talked about asset protection strategies, calculated long-term outcomes, and weighed emotions against logic. She looked from her father to her mother. Neither pushed nor pleaded. They just waited. In the end, the same logic that made her a capable CEO guided her decision. All right, Yin said. If he's agreed, then I will too. But, she raised a finger. I'm not going to be some corporate photo prop. I want this marriage to work and have a real purpose. I want an actual marriage, not just a PR picture. Good, her father replied shortly, and her mother's smile widened with quiet pride. A week later, the two families met for an official dinner. The private restaurant was warm and elegant, with tatami floors, shoji paneled walls, and a quiet rhythm of dishes arriving one after another. The conversation began formally, all polite smiles and careful words, before slowly softening into laughter and shared memories. Their parents reminisced about their youth, the first joint project that almost failed, the late nights at the old office, and how Jungkook's mother used to laugh half a second before the punchline. Midway through the meal, Jungkook's father suddenly coughed. A small hush fell over the table. Yin instinctively reached for the water and poured it for him, while Jungkook gently patted his father's back. The coughing eased, and the old man nodded gratefully, eyes glistening, maybe from the cough, maybe from something else. See that? Yin's mother whispered to her husband, her voice carrying a quiet pride and emotion. They're already supporting each other, even before it's official. Time passed in a warm, easy rhythm, and the dinner table talk flowed from stories of how their parents had struggled to build their businesses to tales of their golden years. But amid the laughter, Jungkook glanced at his father, still smiling, though faintly, and something inside his chest nudged him to act. Excuse me, Dad, Uncle Annie, he said calmly but firmly. Would it be alright if Yin and I stepped out for a bit? There are a few things I think we should talk about privately. The table quieted for a moment. Yin looked at him, a trace of curiosity in her eyes. Their parents exchanged glances before giving small, approving nods. Of course, son, Jungkook's father said kindly. I'm sure there's plenty the two of you need to discuss. They stepped out into the restaurant's small garden. Shadows of leaves swayed gently under the lantern light, and the sound of trickling water from a stone fountain added a peaceful rhythm to the night. The air was cool, carrying traces of warm food and the scent of wet grass and flowers. At the edge of the garden sat a wooden bench. They sat side by side, close enough to feel each other's presence, but still leaving a polite distance. So, what did you want to talk about? Yin asked, her tone neutral but not cold. Jungkook drew in a quiet breath. I think our parents already covered most of the business side, the risks, the benefits, the partnership, but there's stuff they can't talk about for us. He turned slightly, meeting her eyes. We both know this isn't about love. Yin nodded slowly, as if she'd been expecting that. Yeah, I figured you'd say that. I know how things are. I don't want to pretend this is some romantic fairy tale. That'd be lying to both ourselves and them. There was a pause, a soft, honest kind of silence that allowed them both to be a little vulnerable, maybe for the first time in years. But Yin added, her voice gentler now, maybe if we stop seeing each other as rivals, we could actually get along. I mean, we've known each other for years. We get how the other thinks. That's something every couple should have, right? Jungkook smiled slightly, a bit awkwardly. Yeah, you're tough, precise, and lethal in meetings, but that's what I respect about you. You make decisions when everyone else hesitates. That's pretty damn impressive. Yin let out a small laugh, a faint blush touching her cheeks. She'd been praised countless times before, by partners, colleagues, even the media, but hearing it from Jungkook, her former rival and soon-to-be husband, felt different. And you, she said, grinning a little, you act all cold, but behind that, you're way more strategic than people think. The way you read numbers, map risks, sometimes it even makes me jealous. You're neat, organized, and honestly, you're not just some handsome face for a family magazine. You've got the brains to back it up. They both laughed, a small, genuine laugh that loosened the stiffness between them. The conversation flowed easily after that, turning into a quiet exchange of mutual respect. Yin brought up the board meeting where Jungkook had changed the entire direction of a decision with just one line. Jungkook countered by admiring how Yin handled her team with precision and empathy. I'm not gonna promise I'll instantly become the perfect husband, Jungkook said, his eyes dropping to their hands, so close they were almost touching. But I will try to be a real partner, not a decoration. Yin looked at him for a long moment, then gently touched the back of his hand, a small, warm gesture. Then I'll try too. Let's set our own rules. Being married doesn't mean losing who we are. We work with each other, not against each other. That night, under the dim lanterns and the soft whisper of leaves, they sealed their talk with an unspoken understanding. There was no promise of passionate love, no grand declarations. What they had instead was something quieter: respect, honesty, and the willingness to build something real. And maybe, just maybe, time would turn that beginning into something neither of them expected. A month slipped by without her noticing. Suddenly, the wedding was only a week away. Strangely, nothing between them seemed to move forward. Both were CEOs, meeting schedules, report revisions, business trips, days swallowed whole. Yin began to recognize a small ache at the edge of her heart, a simple wish to be seen. Aren't we going to be husband and wife? She thought. Didn't we agree to be a solid team in life? The last time they met was about 2 weeks ago, picking rings, then getting fitted for the dress and suit. After that, silence. Tonight, in her room, just as she was about to sleep, doubt came in steady little waves. In the mirror, her face looked tired. She sat on the edge of the bed, tucking her hair behind one ear. Does Jungkook really want this marriage? They both knew there was no love in it. And honestly, as a woman, Yin wanted a real marriage, not just an elegant collaboration between two powerful families. The largest church in Seoul felt almost alive that day. The high dome echoed the choir's harmonies, and stained glass windows scattered soft colors over the rows of guests. The pews were full. Most of the attendees were relatives from both prominent families, seated neatly, their murmurs blending warmly with the music. At the front, Jungkook stood beside his father. His black suit fit flawlessly, the tie knotted with precision. His face, as always, was restrained, his expression unreadable. Only the faint tension in his jaw hinted at something beneath the calm surface. The main doors slowly opened. Every head turned. Yin entered on her father's arm. Her white gown wasn't overly extravagant, yet it carried an effortless elegance. A thin veil trailed behind, sweeping over the red carpet. Yin rarely got nervous, but today her heart beat unevenly. Soon, she would speak vows before God. Could we really live them out? The question hovered, refusing to fade. They walked toward the altar. Yin's father stopped, his eyes glistening as he looked at his beloved daughter, then gently placed her hand into Jungkook's. The touch was warm, brief. Yin glanced up at Jungkook. His face remained still, impossible to read. Is he nervous too? Or does he just not care? Doing this out of duty? She wondered, swallowing hard. Together they turned to face the altar. Before them stood a priest. No one knew exactly when he'd arrived, his liturgy book already open in his hands. Just as he began the opening words, Yin sensed a small shift beside her. Jungkook's breath hitched, his jaw tightened. She glanced sideways. She knew something was wrong. Jeon Jungkook, the priest began, his voice echoing through the church. Do you take Park Yin to be your lawful wife, to love and to be faithful to her in joy and sorrow, in health and in sickness, for richer or poorer, until death do you part? Silence. Jungkook opened his mouth, but no words came out. The seconds stretched painfully long. Soft whispers rippled among the guests. Yin bit her lower lip. This was unbearable. The priest repeated the question, slower this time. Jeon Jungkook, do you take Park Yin to be your lawful wife, to love and to be faithful to her in joy and sorrow, in health and in sickness, for richer or poorer, until death do you part? Instead of replying, Jungkook turned around and walked swiftly down the aisle toward the doors. A quiet uproar broke out. Yin froze. Her knees went weak, her vision blurred with tears she couldn't stop. Why did he leave me? The first to react was Jungkook's father, who stood immediately and followed his son. The whole church buzzed. Yin's mother held her trembling shoulders, while her father stood beside them, trying to calm her down. A few minutes later, the assistant pastor hurried to the altar and whispered something to the priest. He nodded gravely, descended the steps, and approached Yin and her parents. My children, he said softly, please come with me for a moment. This isn't Jungkook's fault, it's mine. Yin, her father, and her mother exchanged startled looks. What do you mean, father? Her father asked, confusion etched on his face. You'll understand soon, he replied shortly, his voice heavy with regret. For now, what matters is that we see Jungkook first, before things get any worse. They followed him. Guided by the priest and his assistant, they walked toward a small room tucked away in the corner of the church. The door closed softly behind them. Jungkook was already there, sitting with his head lowered, shoulders rising and falling with each uneven breath. His father sat beside him, a hand gently rubbing his son's back, over and over, patient, steady. The priest stood before them, bowing his head deeply before he spoke. First of all, I must apologize. The truth is, I wasn't supposed to officiate today. Our main pastor fell ill, and I was asked to take his place. Yin frowned. And that's your fault? The priest swallowed hard, because I knew, or rather, I should have remembered, that my face could trigger something in Jungkook. Years ago, my twin brother accidentally hit Jungkook's parents in a car accident. My brother served time in prison, paid the fine, and passed away a few years ago due to illness. His voice trembled. At that time, because we looked so much alike, my brother and I promised never to appear before Jungkook again. He was grieving, furious, and I understood. I never meant to reopen that wound. I honestly thought I'd never find myself in this position again. Silence settled thick in the air. Yin turned to Jungkook, his fists clenched on his knees, breath shallow and uneven. His father's hand tightened on his shoulder, wordlessly comforting him. I'm sorry, the priest continued softly. I truly didn't mean to appear before him. If there were any other way, I would step aside this instant. But there are only 3 senior priests in this cathedral. One is ill, and the other is currently abroad. There's no immediate replacement. The assistant priest spoke up quietly. Canonically, the marriage can still proceed under the current officiant, but we'll leave the decision entirely to you. The room fell silent again. Yin stepped closer and knelt so she was eye level with Jungkook. What do you want to do now? She asked softly. We can pause, postpone, or go on. It's your call. Jungkook looked at Yin, eyes that were usually calm now stormy. If it weren't for that crash, my mom might still be here, he murmured. The priest bowed his head even lower, guilt heavy on his shoulders. Yin shook her head slowly. Jungkook, no one wanted that to happen. It was an accident. The person responsible was punished, and he's gone now. The man standing here isn't him. He just happens to have the same face. She swallowed, then went on, her voice faintly unsteady. I told you before, we're partners. We face the hard stuff together, not alone. Yin's words settled like a quiet spell. Jungkook closed his eyes and drew a long breath. When he opened them, something had shifted, not the end of grief, but the courage to take the next step. He took Yin's hand and held it tight. Thank you, he whispered. A single tear slipped free, and he wiped it away quickly. Jungkook exhaled. Okay, let's keep going. They returned to the main hall. The buzz quickly faded when everyone saw the couple had come back. The ushers guided guests to sit. The priest stood slightly off to the side, not directly in front of Jungkook, giving him a bit of breathing room. The ceremony continued with only the necessary words. When it was time for the vows, the priest lowered his voice, breaking the sentences into short pieces. Jeon Jungkook, the priest began, his voice echoing through the church. Do you take Park Yin to be your lawful wife, to love her and be faithful to her in joy and in sorrow, in health and in sickness, for richer or poorer, until death do you part? Jungkook turned a fraction toward Yin, just a brief, steady look. This time, Yin saw warmth in his eyes. I do, he answered, his voice firm and sure. Park Yin, the priest continued, do you take Jeon Jungkook to be your lawful husband, to love him and be faithful to him in joy and in sorrow, in health and in sickness, for richer or poorer, until death do you part? Yin met Jungkook's gaze, her eyes calm. I do. Rings were exchanged. Prayers rose like warm mist toward the church ceiling. When the priest declared them husband and wife, the whole congregation exhaled in relief. Yin drew a deep breath. At her left, Jungkook's hand clasp no longer felt like a mere formality, but a quiet promise. We'll learn slowly. In the front row, Jungkook's father closed his eyes for a heartbeat, gratitude shaping a barely audible prayer. The priest, eyes damp, carefully hidden, took one more small step back, keeping himself at the edge of Jungkook's sightline. He knew atonement couldn't raise the dead, but today at least, he hoped not to deepen the wound. That moment was sweet and touching. When the priest spoke the final words, the whole room seemed to hold its breath. Right after the announcement, the priest smiled warmly and almost in a whisper said, "Now, you may kiss for the first time as husband and wife." A soft cheer and polite applause broke out. Yin and Jungkook glanced at each other for a heartbeat, then bowed their heads, and their lips met in a brief, gentle kiss, like a promise just tied. After that, the mood turned joyful. Guests came forward to offer congratulations, cameras flashed, and hugs were exchanged. They parted neatly. Minutes later, the wedding party readied themselves to head to the hotel where the reception would take place. The church corridor was full of flowers, laughter, and the glint of teary eyes from people who shared that mix of happiness and emotion. In the bridal car, the seats were soft, and thin curtains filtered the afternoon light. Yin and Jungkook sat side by side. A faint trace of incense and flowers still lingered in Yin's hair. Her eyes were still glossy. "I still can't believe we're married," Yin said, half whisper, half teasing. Jungkook turned to her and looked at her gently for the first time that morning. Not cold now, but something warmer and fragile. "Why? Didn't you always say we were partners?" He replied casually, with a little note of regret under his words. Yin gave a rueful smile. "Because you were so cold before the ceremony. We didn't even text each other. I was worried you didn't care." Jungkook drew a long breath and spoke softly. "I'm sorry. I know I've been buried in work. Because of the wedding, I've been trying to finish all the important stuff at the office earlier so it won't interfere later. And I've been visiting my mom's grave a lot lately." He looked out the window for a moment, swallowing something and said. Yin listened, pity and compassion rolling in her chest. She pictured Jungkook's role, a son who lost his mother, carrying huge family responsibilities, now stepping into marriage without the person he missed most. She exhaled gently and reached for Jungkook's hand. The grip was warm, real. "I get it now," Yin said softly. "You're not cold because you don't care. You're just struggling, and I'll be by your side. We'll learn how to show each other attention, slowly." Jungkook closed his eyes for a beat, then squeezed her hand back more tightly, as if to say thanks without words. All the way to the hotel, they rode in a comfortable silence, not a cold distance, but a hopeful pause. Between them, something began to grow, not an explosive love, but a warm decision to be present for each other little by little, day by day.